ex-wife left me so she can have her chance at love and told her new man I'd spend my money to his kids happy and now are using my kids to force into doing it. Am I the a-hole for paying for my kids' class trip when their stepsister or step-cousin can't go? My exudable, 30, broke up 8 years ago after our twins were born. We had only been dating for 14 months when she got pregnant, and we tried to stay together during the pregnancy to see if we could make it work for our kids. But then she met someone else, fell for him, and wanted to have a chance at love. The breakup was pretty smooth and amicable and we co-parented well for the first couple of years. But then she met her husband, not the guy she fell for while we were together, and things changed. Her husband was a single dad raising his daughter who was the same age as our kids, and she declared, I would be responsible for including her like she was my child too if I was buying gifts or doing anything fun with our kids. This led to a lot of problems. And now we basically parent separately instead of co-parenting. I was expected to babysit her stepdaughter and later on her nephew, her younger daughter. Whenever I planned fun activities for our kids, I was also supposed to spend equally on gifts for all the kids. My ex and I share 5,050 custody. And since we split the time evenly, no one pays child support. I'm really close to my kids, but I don't include the other children from their mom's house when they're with me. And I don't have much to do with the other kids. 3 years ago, her husband's nephew moved in with them, and a year later, they had a daughter together. Now my kids have a stepsister, a step-cousin, and a half-sister at their mom's house, and my ex is possibly expecting another baby. This recent fight is partly about a school trip. The school my kids go to is small, so they're in the same class as their step-siblings. There's a class trip coming up in November to an interactive museum. It's an expensive trip for their age, but I can afford it. And my kids really want to go, so I paid for it. But my ex got angry because she and her husband can't afford to send a stepdaughter and a nephew on the trip. She told me I should either pay for all 4 kids to go or not send my kids at all. I refused. I told her I have the right to pay for my kids to go, and since the trip falls during my parenting time, I'm sending them. Her husband said I was sabotaging their family and being unfair to the other kids who would have to watch their siblings go on a trip they couldn't join. He argued that I should care about all the kids. My ex backed him up and said that if the kids end up hating each other, it would be my fault. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. You have zero responsibility towards children so wholly and related to you and, frankly, if you start, there will be a never-ending series of demands. To be honest, if they can't afford to pay for the trips, why on earth are they potentially having another child? Where are my nephew's parents in all this? Where are all the bio-grandparents? You do need to make sure that your children are not being penalized by the mother and stepfather whilst they are with them. I dread to think what will happen when you help your kids through college. Not a whole. Stepdaughter only has her dad and now my ex. Her mom is not in her life. The nephew's parents lost custody and are unsafe. My ex said her parents don't talk anymore. I have no idea what her husband's parents are like and if they're involved. I imagine there will be some controversy because I have money for my kids that they can do whatever they like with. Want an apprenticeship and to have money to help get them started? Covered. College? A big helping hand. Lol. Trade, covered in helping with other expenses during that time. Tell ex that if she doesn't stop with how you need to support her new family, you'll go for full custody and make their life easier. Not a hole. Your ex made her decisions about how she wanted to live her life after y'all broke up. But that's the point. You broke up. You aren't responsible for funding those decisions. It sounds like you are doing your best to respect her wishes in general when it comes to the whole dynamic. Her wishes sound kinda messed up if you ask me, but it's not your responsibility to fund the children other than yours. Instead of tasking you, they should be looking at ways they can tighten their belts to fund the kids that they are responsible for and be glad that you are 100% funding your kids for this instead of expecting her to pay for one half theirs too. Suggestion for them. Not sure where they live, but one of them can take on Uber Eats on Friday Saturday nights to fund a trip for the other 2 kids that can't think of any way to make extra cash. Those are options where we live. I did it during COVID because I found myself unemployed in 2020. Then I got better employment after a couple of months.